If everything in your life went perfectly right, exactly how you dreamed, with no mistakes, no failures, no unexpected turns, would your life actually be better? Think about that for a second. Most of us automatically answer, of course, yes. But is it really that simple? You see, as humans, we love putting labels on things. We say getting injured is bad, winning a prize is good. And from the way we see it in the moment, that makes sense. But if you zoom out, if you take a step back, you realize something that can feel almost shocking. Events aren't truly good or bad. They just are. They happen. The story we attach to them, that's what gives them meaning. Let me explain this in a way that hit me personally through an adventure of mine. I was playing Breath of the Wild, one of my all-time favorite games, lost in its massive world. Out of nowhere, I found myself surrounded, getting attacked from every direction. Arrows whizzing past, enemies closing in fast. I jumped off my horse, Tide, my loyal companion, who had carried me through countless battles, and with my sword drawn, I fought them off. Every swing, every dodge, every strike, I poured everything into that fight until I finally landed the last blow. Victory at last. But when the dust settled, I turned to find Tide. Gone. My heart sank. At first, I thought maybe he had just wandered off. I whistled again and again, scanning the tall grass, listening for the familiar sound of his hooves. Minutes passed, 5, then 10. Still nothing. The world around me felt empty, the only sound the wind blowing across the fields. And then it hit me like a stone in the chest. Tide was dead. He wasn't just pixels on a screen. To me, he wasn't just a mount. He was my horse, my partner, the one I had been through everything with. And now he was gone. Misery sank in deep. I felt crushed. But then I remembered something. A rumor I had of a herd in a tavern. They said there was a hidden horse deity, a mysterious being far across Hyrule in the southwest, who had the power to bring a horse back from the dead. At first it sounded like nothing but a legend, but at that moment I clung to it like hope. I decided then and there I was going to find this deity. I set off on a journey across half of Hyrule, chasing nothing but a rumor. The landscape stretched endlessly, dangers lurked at every turn, yet I pressed on. And along the way something unexpected happened. I found a new horse, a beautiful fiery creature I named Blaze. Together we raced across the plains, we fought through enemies, we forged a bond of our own. And finally, after tireless searching, I found the deity. My heart pounded as I begged for Tide's life, desperate to see him again. And miraculously, the deity restored him. Tide was alive. I was overjoyed, reunited with my favorite companion. Sorry, Blaze. But Tide was back. And here's the strange part. What had felt like one of the worst moments turned out to be the start of something greater. Because if Tide had never died, I never would have gone on that adventure. I never would have met Blaze. I never would have experienced that journey. What felt like tragedy became transformation. And isn't that exactly like life? That's the strange and almost magical thing about life. In the moment, you rarely know what something truly means. You can't see the full picture while you're standing in the middle of it. It's only when time passes, when you look back, that the pieces connect. It's almost ironic, isn't it? We live our lives moving forward, but they only make sense when we look backwards. That lesson reminded me of an old story I once heard. A story so simple yet so powerful that it shifted my entire perspective on how I see the world. It's the story of a farmer. One day, this farmer's horse runs away. Immediately the villagers gather around him and say, "That's terrible, what bad luck." But the farmer doesn't agree. He simply shrugs and says, "Well, maybe." The next day, to everyone's shock, the horse returns, but this time it comes back with a group of wild horses. Now the villagers cheer, "That's amazing, you're so lucky." But again the farmer just shrugs and says, "Well, maybe. Later, while trying to tame one of the wild horses, the farmer's son falls and breaks his leg. Horrified, the villagers rush to the farmer. "That's awful! How unlucky!" But the farmer simply replies, "Well, maybe." And then, just a few days later, the army comes through the village, drafting every able-bodied young man into the war. But because the farmer's son is injured, he cannot go. The villagers once more gasp, "That's wonderful! You're so fortunate!" But the farmer, with calm eyes, simply repeats, "Well, maybe." That story echoes in my head every time I think about Tide or Blaze, or any of the moments in my own life that felt like disasters in the moment, but eventually led me to something new. Just like the farmer, I've learned that things don't always lead where you think they will. Bad moments don't always lead to bad outcomes, and the same is true for good, because things aren't inherently good or bad, they just are. When you start living with this mindset, it's like someone takes a heavy weight off your shoulders. You stop feeling like every single problem is a catastrophic disaster waiting to ruin your life. Instead, you see things for what they are. Just events, just moments, neither good nor bad, until time gives them context. Another way I like to think about it is that one cannot exist without the other. Imagine if everything that ever happened to you was only good or only bad. What would happen? Those moments would stop feeling good or bad at all. They would just feel normal. The only reason we know what joy feels like is because we've tasted sorrow. The only reason victories feel sweet is because we've endured struggle. The contrast between the two is what gives each its power. Without the storm, sunshine feels ordinary. Without loss, reunion feels empty. It might sound unusual, even crazy, but ever since I began to fully live with this mindset, I've noticed I rarely worry or stress the way I once did. The grip of fear, the panic over what if, it doesn't hold me anymore. Take something that happened to me recently. I lost an expensive piece of jewelry, an irreplaceable chain given to me by my sister. The old me, before I learned this way of thinking, would have lost it completely. I would have gone into full-on panic mode, retracing every step, unable to sleep, unable to focus, consumed with worry until I found it. But this time, something shifted. I caught myself thinking, why does it matter so much? The chain mattered because it was a gift from my sister, not because of the physical object itself. If I never found it again, that didn't erase her love for me. That didn't erase the bond we shared. So I told myself, if I don't find it, then I won't wear it again. If I do find it, then I will wear it again. That's it. I stopped labeling the outcome as good or bad. I just accepted it for what it was. And here's the funny part. Because I had already accepted both outcomes, the stress melted away. I asked around calmly, checked the place I thought I lost it, and eventually I found it sitting safely in the lost and found. And you know what? The relief was real, but the stress was gone long before I got it back. By accepting both possibilities, I freed myself from the torture of worry. And even if I hadn't found it, I knew life would still move forward. Because here's the truth. When you attach yourself too tightly to results or outcomes, you set yourself up for endless frustration. Outcomes are not fully in your control. You can influence them. Yes, you can prepare and work hard. But ultimately, life does what life does. I once read a line from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. People are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. And I think that's exactly right. People suffer more in their minds than they ever do in reality. Most of the pain comes not from what happens, but from the endless stories we spin about what it means. That doesn't mean you get to use this mindset as an excuse to be lazy. Effort still matters. Cause and effect still exist. You can't put almost no effort into your work, fail, and then brush it off with, well, that's just life. No. You still have to show up. You still have to put in the effort, sharpen your sword, and play your part in the story. But once you've done that, once you've poured yourself into the work, The rest isn't up to you. The universe will take its course. So here's what I want you to do. The next time something you see as bad happens in your life, pause, take a deep breath, and remember Tide. Remember Blaze. Remember the farmer and his horse. Things aren't always what they seem. What feels like an ending could just be a beginning. What feels like a loss might be the doorway to something greater. Life doesn't demand that you label every moment as victory or disaster. Things simply happen. And when you learn to accept that, you'll find a strange freedom in the flow of life. So keep moving, keep your sword sharp, and trust the journey. And if this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your own. Share in the comments the moments that felt like the end, but turned out to be the start of something new. And if you want more lessons, more stories, and more adventures like this one, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and join me for the next chapter. Because just like life, this adventure is far from over.